Here's a look at the part that I cut in update number 4, and this was the left tail cone. You can see this being the bottom, this being the top. So now I'm going to go ahead and make a right one, and after making this one, now I can cut down on the amount of material that I use, because now I know exactly how big a piece I need. So what I've done is I've gone ahead and cut the pieces out of the other end of this foam, and I start with the bottom piece, and the way I went about doing this is I've laid this out so that if I turn this over, the mating surface is here, so this is going to be the bottom. So I just lay this over and trace it out like that, and then I lay the next piece underneath it, and I line it up in the front, and then I can sight down on the sides and see where I need to line it up so that whenever the machine cuts, it's going to cut the reverse or a mirror image of this. And then finally take the third piece and put it on, and again sight down and line up all the pieces, and you can tell about where it's going to be cutting it. And then once you get it all lined up and adjusted, then you can take a straight edge or a square and lay up here and put a line right down the front. And I've already done this, so you can see here. And then on the back side, keeping them the same, you actually line up the marks. You can see I wasn't too far off, but if we slide this back a little bit, and actually I probably need to flip these two over. Yeah, flip that one over. Now if this line lines up there and that lines up there, so now I know I have the end lined up. And then we just go hold this and line up these marks. And now if I glue this in place and weight it down, then I would have this ready to cut. I've gotten some emails about my machine, so here we go. I'm going to try to answer the questions. First off, I'm using a 1.5 kilowatt variable frequency drive with a 1.5 kilowatt spindle. It's a 1/4 inch spindle. I'm using a 6-inch foam cutting bit. It has a ball end. The cut diameter is 1/4 inch. The shank diameter is 1/4 inch. And the depth of cut is 1.5 inches. And I'm actually cutting at the max that this machine will cut when it comes to size and depth. So this is about as tall a project or as deep a project as I could cut. The bed itself does not have a permanent bed on it, so therefore I can improvise when it comes to weird projects, much like this one. One thing you might notice is that I had only less than 1/4 inch of clearance from here to the top of the foam whenever I was machining the first piece. I'm going to slide a 1/4 inch piece of stock underneath my boards here, because these are just held up in place with some washer headed screws. And but the idea is to set the foam down just a little bit lower. That'll give me a little more base, a little more meat at the base. So because I'm going to be cutting that off anyway, and this way it'll be just a little more for me to cut off, which I'd rather cut a larger piece than I would a small one. But at any rate, there's a look at the machine. Now I'm going to go ahead and lay my stock down here, get it glued together, and we will get busy cutting here in a little bit. Okay, I've laid the first piece down, and I have it located on the machine, and I've put a couple of glue spots underneath, and now I've laid some Gorilla Glue on the top, and I'm going to add the next piece to it. I'm going to line up my marks. Okay, I've got my foam located and it's glued down. So now we'll wait about 2 hours and then start the machining process. And by the way, if you wondering what this is all about, well, whenever I put it down, I put it in upside down, and rather than take a chance of something not working, I just took it off and flipped it over, and you can see how well the glue transferred, so I wound up throwing some sawdust up there. That way maybe my weights will not stick to the foam. At any rate, in about 2 hours we'll start machining. Looking at the program, looks like it's going to take 1 hour and 42 minutes. So I'm going to turn on the water pump. We're looking for pressure, and we've got it. Start up the spindle. And while that's coming up, we'll get started running the program. Now we're done with the roughing, and now we're doing the finish pass, which with the finish pass is cleaning up all the rough areas. And now the step over's not as big either. So it's leaving a much cleaner finish. Okay, the machine time was 1 hour and 42 minutes, 32 seconds. And I believe you'll recognize those marks. You see this time my thickness is a little greater, and that's because I lowered my table the 1/4 inch. These are really smooth. This is just off the CNC machine. So let's go ahead and cut it apart now. Here's a look at the finished tail cone. This would be the top. This is the bottom. See, it's got more of a curve. If we turn it around again, this would be the top, and this is the bottom.